Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Tech Cruiser channel. I'm Howard. So, in this whole thing that we're doing with the Prusa that's behind me, we're learning a lot. We're learning a lot about filaments, orientations, layer heights, very important, support. We're learning about all kinds of different stuff. Now, I've been doing the 3D printing thing for a while. Before this, I had a Model Price Maker Select Plus. Very similar form factor, but far less advanced. A far less advanced feature set. Get you a little better look at that. And the quality was good, but a far inferior feature set. So I'm coming from that to this. And so now as we learned about this, this has the mesh bed leveling, it has the filament sensor, it has the power interrupt, it has the crash detection feature like I was talking about in the previous video. I have since turned that feature off, the crash detection feature, and that's because the longer and bigger the print is, like for example, yesterday I was trying to print a fishing lure, and it got to I'm going to say right around 80% or so, 85%, and the crash detection kept triggering, and it kept homing and rehoming, and then going back, trying to print again, and a couple of passes into the print after rehoming, the crash detection would go back off, and it would just repeat that and repeat that. That went on for about a half an hour or so. Eventually I got frustrated. I canceled the print. I didn't even think about turning off the crash detection because at this point I was just kind of frustrated with it. So I canceled the print. The fishing lure was huge anyways, but when it was all done, it's gonna be about this big. For the fishing I do, that's gonna be too big. So I went again back to the Prusa support community and kind of reached out and explained what I was experiencing, and a lot of people were saying just disable the crash detection. And I kind of asked, is like, well, does that affect the print quality at all? Are you seeing any artifacts because maybe there's something else going on? And everybody was like, nah, it doesn't really do anything. So I turned it off, and I loaded up a model from the Prusa bundled prints, the weekly 3D prints. And I found this group model, which is, kind of sits on the desk. Came in a couple of different form factors. It came with a two-part model, which I'm printing right now. It also came as a one piece. It came with a couple of different poses. So we're printing that right now. And I have to say, that looks fantastic. So I'm printing that. I believe that's at a 0.1 millimeter layer height. And I gotta tell you, even at that, it looks fantastic. I was trying at the 0.07 ultrafine detail, but it would be printing all week. It was going to take in excess of 40 hours to print just a little model. Now, as soon as that's done, we'll pull it off, and I'll kind of show that to you, the detail and whatnot that's going on with it. It's fantastic. At 0.1 millimeters, it's still fantastic. I'm gonna try and buy some model paints and some little tiny fine brushes and try and give it a good paint job. Now, I'm not really an artist, but I will try and do my best. We'll prime it. We'll go on with some brown. Maybe we'll do the paper towel technique that I've seen untested, and give it a little bit of green detail in the background. Do some eyes, but who knows? But that's still printing. But as we're talking about filaments and learning about layer heights and all kinds of filaments and stuff. Not monofilament. You can't. You might be able to probe this. I don't know. I doubt it's 1 point. Yeah, it's definitely not 1.75. But we're talking about filaments and infill and quality of prints and stuff. So I just wanted to show you a couple of things that I kind of have been doing recently in relation to functional prints. Now I kind of was looking at wallets, and I have a I'll grab it. I do have some flexibles. I got a little bit of some Ninja Flex here, and I may try and print, because this printer is, from what I understand, capable of printing Ninja Flex. But I do have this it's kind of like it's kind of like a fuchsia, like a purpley pink kind of color, but it's Ninja Flex. It's really, really, really soft. So I may try and print something with that. The head on my shower. I have one of those attachable things in the shower. The O-ring, I believe, is going. So I may try and print a new O-ring for that and fix the shower head. But I also have this TPU filament, which I absolutely love. Now, I made a phone case for a family member last year for Christmas, and it turned out unbelievable. It was for his iPhone. I think it was a 7 or 7 Plus, but it turned out unbelievable using this TPU filament. Now, it's kind of in the Ninja Flex family. It's a little bit more stiff, which is great for phone cases, because it provides support. It's not really, really squishy and jelly, so it's able to absorb some of the impact. It turned out amazing. So we're going to play with this a little bit, probably coming up in the next week or so. We'll check that out. But the one that I'm still kind of having a little bit of learning curve with is this PETG, the PETG. The Matter Hacker filament, I really, really like the Matter Hacker filament. I feel like the spools could be a little bit more intuitive. Like on this one, now this spool, interesting story about the spool. This spool was from when I had the New Matter printer. It was supposed to be an Apple-esque 3D printing experience. It was all on the cloud. There was no real place to put an SD card. It looked fantastic. It broke down very quickly. But I really, really like their spools. I like being able to look into the side of the spool and tell exactly how much filament is left. So I really dig that feature. I really like Matter Hacker's stuff. I really like their filament. Just a little bit smarter on the spools, I think would go a long way. It's a little touch. It'll even make the spools lighter for shipping. But this PETG is quite the interesting filament. It's a little more forgiving than a normal PLA, like the Prusa, the gray stuff that came with the printer. And I have some things that I printed out with that, and I kind of want to talk to you about this PETG real quick. So, PETG is kind of like the brainchild if ABS and, sorry, it just got a mind of its own here. Let me put this back under control. So the PETG is supposed to have the best of both worlds in regards to PLA and ABS. Now, and you probably have seen videos about describing that in particular quality. Now, the PETG is supposed to be more temperature resistant than PLA. meaning if you print something for your car and it gets hot in the car, it's not going to melt or deform as quickly as normal PLA will. But it also prints much easier than ABS. So it prints as easy as PLA, but it has kind of the temperature resistance of ABS. Not quite as high, but really good. It's also supposed to be a little bit stronger. Not supposed to be much stronger, but it is. And that kind of has a little caveat with it. It all depends on the part you're printing, how many perimeters. Now, this goes with anything, but from what I've found, it goes especially with the PETG filament. As I found out with this little guy here. Now, I found this model on Thingiverse, which, when it prints out, is probably only about this big. I wanted to take it fishing, so I made it much bigger, as you can see. Maybe a little too big. But I am going to print this one again. I'm going to do it with a little bit more infill. Definitely more perimeters. I'm going to cut the size down a little bit, maybe to about here, so that it's not quite as long. But when it printed, now this side I forgot to add the supports on this side. So this side is it's all droopy and messy and gross. Everything else on the print came out really well, with the exception of there's supposed to be little tabs in here, so that when you put the piece together, it's supposed to lock in place, and these pliers are supposed to function like this. Now, I was planning on taking these fishing, grab the hook out of the fish's mouth. But when I tried to put it together, the little tabs went, but they shot off into the kitchen. And when they did that, I noticed that they weren't part of the model. It's almost as if they were added into the model. So I have to fix that. I have to see what's going on with that. But I tried it out anyways. I wanted to see, because I heard it was a strong material. So I wanted to try it out. So I gave it just kind of not a Hulk smash kind of squeeze, but I gave it kind of a stern squeeze, and the handle just flew off. Now, I do believe this was like 25% infill. This a more functional part definitely will have to have more layers, because you can see the infill in there. I don't know if you'll actually be able to see it. There you go. You can see those little squiggly lines. It used gyroid infill, and it just completely fell apart. I think it only has 2 perimeters. I think next time I'll have to go 4. But the PETG has some flex to it. And see, even right now, you can hear it cracking. And it's interesting because it didn't delaminate. It literally cracks along wherever. So it's not delaminating. So I got that good. I just have to increase my perimeters. But I am loving the color. This translucent green is unbelievable. So with this lesson painfully learned, I tried to go and do some fishing lures, because I had heard people were doing all kinds of crazy stuff with fishing lures. So I downloaded this guy. It's a print-in-place fishing lure, and it's jointed. The thing about this, though, is it didn't print too well with the support, or on top of the support, because it's really, really rough down here. I'm going to try and play with it, see if I can figure out how to get that better. But the top, I'm trying to catch the light so that you can kind of see it. The top came out unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. Even on the sides, like over here, it came out really, really good. But again, I'm gonna try this out anyways. I'm gonna throw a hook on it and throw some line on it. See if I can't. See if it worked. We're gonna see what's going on. But it led me to a key point. I apologize if I'm rambling. I'm kind of just not running unscripted here. I'm just kind of going as train of thought. I apologize. Sorry. So having learned this, that it currently, right now, with what I know about all of this stuff, the way that this printed with the supports, it didn't like that support material. So I went a different route, and I found out something really, really interesting, which I kind of already knew, but didn't really put into practice. So 3D prints really kind of depend on the orientation you print them. So I downloaded another print and printed it differently. So this guy, I believe, had like 50% infill. I printed this guy with 100% infill at a much finer resolution. So this is at 0.07 millimeters. And each of the pieces, because it's segmented, it's supposed to do like this kind of job in the water with the fishing line. So it kind of it's supposed to mimic a swimming motion in the water. This came out unbelievable. There are almost no layer lines that you could see. Some minor artifacting, some minor issues like the little eyelet here got deformed. I don't know how well that's going to be able to hold the weight of the fish, but this printed in segments, and the segments kind of sat vertically as opposed to going horizontally across the board. Now they have the typical cleanup that you would expect. They have the brim cleanup on here. Some of the holes I had to kind of open up a little bit, but it came out unbelievably, and that's because of the orientation that was printed vertically, not horizontally, which kind of depends on the filament you're using. Now, it might just be me. It's probably just me. I haven't really had this same problem as severely with PLA as I've had with the Pet G so far, and that's kind of teaching me how to orient these things. But with the PLA, as I was learning how to print it and the speed to print it and getting everything calibrated, I wanted to check out maybe I could print a new wallet. So I did. I printed this guy out. Now it prints in place like this. And the only place that it really didn't come out 100%, I would call it probably like 95%, maybe a 90%, is on the hinge. Now, not on the top portion, just on the hinge, just on the bottom portion. Now, there were supports here, and it's really not terrible. It's nowhere near as bad as this was with the supports. But it's still kind of there. A little bit of cleanup, maybe some heat gun action will make that go away. But it looks really good. It's completely functional. So, if you have any of these issues that I'm mentioning, if you have this issue with the bottom layer not doing too well with the support material, let me know how you fix it. Any adjustments that you've made. I don't have any of the print settings for this. I apologize. I've kind of just been going crazy, printing and adjusting and doing all that kind of stuff this week, and just kind of turning these things out. I'm still waiting for that. I can't wait to show you guys that one. That is going to be fantastic. It's going to sit on my desk while I'm doing some editing or work on my computer. I'm also kind of curious to see how this gets wired up. Now this one also kind of, because I downsized it so very drastically, there's a little hole right here, and I'm not sure how this whole thing is supposed to be wound, because the fishing line that I have that they suggest kind of runs through back and forth through here to give it the swimming motion. So with that being said, guys, let me know if you have any of these issues. I know I probably everybody did at one point. So drop a line down below. Let me know what fixes, what settings, tweaks that you guys use to eliminate these things. And I'd really, really love to try them out. So that's all we got for right now. You know, keep doing your thing, keep printing, guys, and love one another. I'll catch you later.